Welcome, welcome. So appreciative of you taking time away from working in your business, doing things to be operational, serving your clients, and joining us today to work on your business to get some insights, some tips, and one action step you can immediately implement as we wrap up today. Today's topic is earn 2 to 3 times more from your cleanup projects, increase profits, improve efficiency, and reduce stress. Okay, the cleanup challenge. This is where you are getting into the project and you have expectations that it's going to be pretty profitable. And once you actually dig in, those expectations slowly wither away because you realize it's more complicated than you expected. So instead of high profit, you end up with high stress. That is the cleanup challenge. If you find that you are quoting a price too soon and ended up actually undercharging for the project because it was more complex than you thought it was, you wonder whether to reach out now to that person and tell them that it's going to be more, or just go ahead and absorb the difference, or possibly that you are engaging clients and you realize they aren't great quality clients. You have to chase them down for too much, or they don't appreciate you. They're just not a right culture fit for your firm. If any of those things are true for you, then you are absolutely in the right place today. Steve, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, Lauren, I'd love to. So, hi, my name's Steve Fogelman. As you can see by the last name, Lauren and I are related. We have been marriage partners and business partners for many, many years. I'm a therapist turned business coach, and I'm going to be your co-host. I'll be working the chat. And if you have any questions when we're doing our poll, please go ahead and put them into the chat, and I'll be sure to get them to Lauren so she can answer those for us. Anyway, Lauren's back to you.
Thank you. A little bit about me, if you're meeting me for the first time, is I'm a sports psychologist turned business coach. And basically, I found that my education gave me all the theory and the insights to kickstart my profession, but it also prepared me to work for somebody else as an employee instead of a business owner or employer. Because of that, 3 gaps. First one is, how do I communicate my value when I'm out there trying to connect with other people? The second one is, how do I price my services when I didn't want to connect my fees at time? And the third one is, how do you enroll clients when you don't like the sales part? You don't want to push or pressure someone to working with you. And that's what I found firm owners can benefit also, is communicating value, pricing strategies, and also how to have enrolling conversations when you might not like to be salesy. So as you can see, I have been named as one of the top 22 business coaches by HubSpot, and that is my Amazon #1 bestseller, The Success Solution. Okay, what you need is a formula. I believe that systems give you freedom from the very start all the way through into a monthly engagement. So when someone first wants to contact and reach out to you, all the way through until they become a monthly client, having a system in place is going to make sure that you are engaging that right client and getting paid a fee that is reflective of the value you bring to the table, as opposed to some of those mistakes where you end up undercharging, too high stress, and enrolled a client that isn't a fit for your firm. So systems give you freedom, and they remove a lot of the problems that you might currently be facing with your cleanup projects. What we're going to cover today is the 5 costly pricing mistakes, your personal ATM machine, and 5 tips to get started. I will absolutely give you as much as I possibly can in our short period of time together today. And if you're interested in knowing more, I will show you a way that you could start to implement this and get this dialed into your firm.
Well, Lauren, that's great. Let's go ahead and get started with the 5 costly pricing mistakes. But before we do that, we have our next poll, our first poll question, actually. Do you offer a diagnostic review? I rolled them right into a monthly service. It's part of my, I don't have the thing on that. Let me see. Hold on just a
Oh,
minute.
look at that. I roll them into a monthly service twice. Okay, number
And
2 ought to be, it's part of my free consult. Human
and
error.
I have, yep, and I have a paid diagnostic review.
Okay, so number 2 is, it's
That's
part of my free consult, just to let you know.
Great. Okay. And this is a great time. If you do have a question, put it into the chat and I'll be sure to get it to Lauren. And I think we can go ahead and end the
We're still
poll.
getting a little bit of answers coming
Oh,
in.
yeah. Look at that.
Wait,
Okay. That would be great.
So, and yes, if you have questions, please let us know. Would you like me to shut it down, Steve? The poll?
I believe you can.
Okay, there you go.
Let's see. Wow, it changed a lot. The second one, which I can't read, it's part of my monthly service. No.
Yes.
What is number two? Okay. That's 70%. I have a paid diagnostic review is 30%, and nobody rolls them into a monthly service. Wow, that's really good, actually. Well,
Okay.
Lauren, let's dive into today's really big topic. In business owners, they need accurate financials. Accounting professionals often start out cleaning up a client's books. What are the steps to turn your cleanups into your personal ATM machine?
Okay, this is the profitable client formula that I teach my clients. And as a result of that, they create a new stream of revenue and also engage better quality clients into their firm. It is a way to actually transform your firm from stressful to successful. And yes, that program does start on September 9th. I'll touch base on it a little bit more later. But basically, this is the 5 steps of the course. Is first, you want to go from low profit to high profit. So you want to be able to identify which are those high profit projects as well as who those quality clients are going to be. And then number 2 is technician to expert, where we're now focusing on what you know and we're prioritizing your expertise as opposed to the technical skills that you are going to implement in order to do the work. So we want to really lead with your expertise first. The third one is from workhorse to CEO. When we do this, as I mentioned, systems give you freedom. So this is where we're streamlining processes that you can implement in order to be able to improve efficiency and be able to get through things faster instead of having it be a long drawn out process, or you're refiguring it every single time. Or maybe you want to pass it on and delegate it, but it's all in your head. The process isn't written down yet. Number 4 is going from affordable to premium. And this is where you're able to really offer those quality clients the right level of service that they need and be able to communicate those prices with confidence. And then from stressful to successful is really you stepping up as a new version of yourself, where you no longer see yourself as just that technician, but you really have connected with your value. And whether you have a solo firm or one with partners, you're able to really step up as the CEO of your firm and lead with confidence. So those are the 5 steps of the profitable client formula: is going from low profit to high profit, from technician to expert, workhorse to CEO, affordable to premium, and stressful to successful.
Well, a common pain that most accounting professionals learn firsthand, unfortunately, is the cleanup nightmare. Why does this happen and what can they do about it?
Well, I believe that there's too much reliance on a client's self-report about their books. They're going to tell you that books are easy. They are going to tell you, oh, yeah, I just have this many transactions a month. They're not going to tell you that they aren't categorized or that they're not categorized correctly. You're going to take a look at their COAs and realize that that isn't very effective, what they're doing there. So you're going to, if you rely too much on your client's self-report, realize that they don't understand the financials to the same degree as you do. If they understood it to the same degree as you, they wouldn't have messy books to begin with. It's like you go into a doctor and your doctor listening to the symptoms you're experiencing and then going ahead and scheduling surgery, but never taking the time to really do a thorough assessment, maybe some diagnostic and lab work to really understand why you're experiencing those symptoms. So your clients know the symptoms of what's happening when their financials aren't accurate and up to date, but they don't understand why it's occurring. That's where you need to stop relying on the self-report and really dig in on your own to be able to thoroughly assess what's going on so that you can avoid some of those complications that happen later.
Well, what are the 5 common pricing mistakes when pricing this cleanup project?
And if you're doing any of these, it's okay, be gentle with yourself because we all learn from our mistakes. In fact, some of my best insights come on the heels of a mistake that I made. So I want to say, if you're doing any of these, it's okay, we can fix it. But the 5 cleanup pricing mistakes is the very first thing, you're not even doing a diagnostic. And if you are, you're doing maybe a quick one during the initial consult, and then you're going into the project very quickly. So there's not a thorough diagnostic. As I said, you're relying a lot on the client's self-report. The second one is that you're not charging enough for your services. So even though it might not be a monthly ongoing project, this is going to be, getting the books up to date and accurate. And that is the most fundamental part of them eventually having sound financials. So you don't recognize the value of it. And as a result of it, you undercharge for it. It might be that you undercharge because you underestimate it also. The third part is that when you are meeting with a client and you have done their cleanup project, you might not be very effective at discussing the next steps of moving forward into monthly maintenance. Or it could be that instead of doing it separately, where you go into the cleanup project and then into monthly maintenance, you just put them into a monthly service and you do the cleanup project along the way. Number 4 is speed of delivery, because sometimes people need their books cleaned up very quickly. And that means if you're going to help them, you need to adjust your workload in order to accommodate them. But you don't charge a premium fee for making that adjustment to get the cleanup project done quickly. So think about FedEx. If you need to do ground or versus overnight, you're going to pay one price for ground, which is standard, and then you're going to pay a premium for overnight because they're now giving you priority service. Well, you can actually charge a premium fee for when a client needs their books accurate and up to date in a very short timeline. And then number 5 is payment terms. This is where you're invoicing after the project is done and you're getting paid after the work. I've seen so many nightmares come out of that, where all of a sudden you now want to also enroll them into a monthly, and then they come up with budget problems, or possibly now that you've gone into it, you've seen what their finances are like, so you're lowering their monthly fee from what you would have charged, or maybe even reducing your invoice because it took longer than it expected, and you've told, if you went ahead and gave them the full invoice, you know that there would be pushback. So once again, I see getting paid in arrears as you financing their work with you. And so you're doing all the work and you're taking all the financial risk as well. So those are some of the cleanup pricing mistakes. Is there's no diagnostic, you're undercharging, you're not discussing next steps, or you're just automatically enrolling them into a monthly. If somebody needs it done urgently, you are not charging a higher fee for that, and you're getting paid after the fact.
Well, what are some options available once accounting professionals realize the project's larger than they originally estimated?
Okay, so I would like to ask, if you underestimate the project, I'm putting this in the chat, what do you do? So once again, would love to hear from you. If you end up underestimating the project, what do you end up doing? And would love to hear from you. But so Christy says she calls the client to discuss. Anybody else want to chime in there as to what you do? There's no right and wrong. Christian, most of the time I would have eaten the difference. Linda says eat it. There is Christine says suck it up. Okay, so those are some different things, is that it's a wide range from, you eat the profits to where you go ahead and let the client know that it is something that they need to pay. Tammy says, I do my best to turn them into a monthly maintenance client and work and charge the extra into their monthly fee. So Tammy is looking to make high profit on the back end of it later on. But those are all accurate as far as what I see regarding this when you realize that you're undercharged. If you have a really tight work agreement, go ahead and call the client and let them know that it's out of scope. But if you don't have a work agreement, you could call them and let them know that it's going to be higher than estimated, but they're not going to be very happy about paying a higher fee. And the easiest thing is to just eat it yourself, not do anything. You don't want to rock the boat with a new client, and you just hope to once again make it up on the back end. So this is very, very common. And what I have seen is when you realize that you're undercharged, the first thing is you lose some sleep over it. You stress out. Do I call them? Don't I call them? What should I do? And it upsets your focus. It creates a different additional stress for you that you don't need. You already do work that has enough stress tied to it many times. So don't beat yourself up if you make this mistake or if this happens to you, because we can learn from our mistakes and there is a way to correct that. With Devin, when we first connected, she had someone that reached out to her that needed to very quickly get out of their in-house servers into the cloud, because without being on the cloud, they could no longer be operational. And this was a law firm. So each day that they weren't in the cloud, they were hemorrhaging money. It was very, very costly to them. And in the beginning, Devin didn't know her value. In fact, not only was she bookkeeper that focused on law firms, she was actually a licensed practicing attorney as well. So she knew both sides of the business, but she didn't see the value of what she brought to it. So she actually had very, very low fees. And if that would have come to her before, she would have priced it at $5,000 for the project. But because she was able to follow the profitable client formula, she knew how to assess the scope of the project. She knew how to enroll them into a paid diagnostic and talk about the value of moving forward. And she went ahead and priced not just transitioning them to the cloud, but also doing the cleanup project and a year's worth of services for about $40,000 for this law firm. And she said, like I said, she would have charged them originally $5,000 for everything, including the whole year's worth of work. So that is something to think about, is even if you're not fully connected with your value in the beginning, this is something you can implement into your firm also with your clients.
Well, Lauren, next we're going to move forward and look at your personal ATM machine. But before we do that, we have our next poll question. If you underestimate the project, do you have the client pay a higher fee, stick to your fixed fee, or it's not a problem since I already charged for time? And question that came in, will clients pay for a diagnostic?
Well, it depends. That's the accurate answer. If you look at most clients, they will look at the service delivery. If you are able to show them the value of doing a diagnostic and explain why that's to their benefit and a win-win, and that your client's centered, absolutely will go ahead and pay for that. The only ones who will not pay for a diagnostic are the ones who are price sensitive, and they want as much as they can possibly get from you. So they want high service, low prices. So this is a way to actually pre-qualify someone and see if they are price sensitive, because the ones that just want you to do everything for them and they don't respond to your communications, they are nitpicking when you charge them more, they will never pay for paid diagnostics. So this weeds them out, and they will self-select out. Everybody else, for the most part, will pay for a diagnostic. Steve, you want to read the results?
Yes. Have the client pay a higher fee is 36%. Stick to your fixed fee, 55%. Not a problem since I charge for time is actually 9%.
Hold on one second. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat. How often do you underestimate the projects? Would love to know that. And Steve, the poll question is no longer showing on your screen, correct?
Yes, no longer showing on my
Thank
screen.
you. Okay. Anyway, go ahead and put in the chat how often you underestimate the projects. And Steve, I know that you're ready to move on.
I'm ready to move on, and it's on you.
Oh, okay. As far as the value goes,
Yes.
perfect. I can take that. So basically, when someone is coming to engage your firm services, then they are considering three things when they are looking at whether to move forward with you or move in another direction. The main things that they are considering is quality, service, and cost. Now, let's just agree, we all want the very best that we can afford for our budget. But most people are looking at the quality and the service too. The quality has to do with the client relationship. What is it like to work with you? Do you meet with me? If I have a question, do you respond to me? Are you looking to educate me about my financials because I really don't understand a lot about them? So they want to know what the client relationship is like. And, are you client-centered or are you transactional? That's the other thing also. And then the service delivery has to do with whether you have the tools, the software, and the knowledge, the know-how to be able to do what they are engaging you to do and do it in the time frame that you agreed upon. And then the third is cost. Like I said, we all have some type of parameters and budgets, and that we want the very best. But I have seen where people that think they have a budget, and then when they hear what it's like to engage your firm services because of the difference you can make for them, all of a sudden their budget goes up and they have more money to be able to invest in your firm services than what you actually originally expected. So once again, the only quality, service, and cost, and the only time that this is flipped and turned around is with those price-sensitive clients. So those are the ones that they are looking to get champagne service at budget beer prices. So they want to get everything that they possibly can, and they want to pay a very low fee for that. So that's the only people that are prioritizing cost. Everybody else is going to look at the client relationship and the service delivery, and then cost is the third consideration. So how often you underestimate? Christian says it used to be all the time. Now it's never. Christine seems to be all too frequently. Christy is rarely. I am clear what the scope is, and if it's different, it's an easy conversation to have. Tammy, I've only had a handful and still on my learning curve for most of them, and May said about 20% of the time.
This is you.
Oh my gosh, I have so much to give. So, okay, some of the things you might want to explain to your clients as you're having this conversation with them about moving forward with you into the project is the benefits. So we're not really talking about all the technical things you're going to be doing or the functions you're going to be putting into place. I wouldn't talk about the COA because they probably don't even know that one exists or what it means or its function. So what you want to do is really talk to them about what is important to them and how they benefit from having accurate and up-to-date financials. So by being able to do that, they can make better business decisions moving forward, because I've seen so many businesses, even with 6- and 7-figure businesses, that never looked at the financials and the data when they were making decisions. So if they had that as an additional consideration, they would actually make better decisions. Also, by looking at you taking care of their financials and keeping books up to date, you can actually help them increase their profit margins. The other thing is that how many business owners do you talk with that have trouble with cash flow? They are hoping an invoice gets paid in order to make payroll. So you have ways to be able to improve their cash flow. Maybe you're able to help them with additional tax savings because of the fact that their financials are now accurate and up to date and they have insights, or there's other things that they could be doing in order to be able to pay on time and avoid the high penalties. And the other thing is some of your clients are maybe looking to make investments or to be able to grow, focus on business development, and you can help them budget for those big ticket items. So those are some of the benefits that you want to explain to them from moving forward and engaging your firm's services. Like I said, it's not about the functions and the tactical steps or the software. It's really all about how they benefit from moving forward with you.
Well, avoiding the common cleanup challenge is really the ideal. Is there a system which actually solves this problem?
This is what I call the auto mechanic strategy. Think about it. When your car needs servicing because maybe the steering wheel shakes when you're going over 55 on the freeway, and you know that that's not correct, and nobody goes 55 on the freeway anymore. So what you want to do is then bring it into your mechanic in order to be able to get it functioning safely. So what the mechanic's going to do is first pick up the hood, get his or her head under the hood, and diagnose the problem. And once the problem is diagnosed, then they're going to discuss with you everything that they found. And it's usually a very long laundry list. It could be overwhelming. And after they go through that laundry list, they're going to then talk with you about what it is that ought to be prescribed, done now, and what are some things that maybe can be done later on and postponed for another date. Then you're going to need to verbally agree. Sometimes you will need to actually give a signature on a work agreement, also a work order. So you're going to need to at least do verbal agreement, if not sign a work order for them. And then once this is done, they've done their work, you're ready to pick up your vehicle, there's no more shaking the steering wheel, they're going to want to roll you into a not a monthly maintenance, but an ongoing maintenance so that your vehicle continues to drive safely on the highway. So this is a process that you can follow for your firm with your clients also. Is once again, do that thorough diagnosis, review everything that you found with your client, go ahead and consult with them on what needs to be done now, get agreement, hopefully in writing, you're going to have a work agreement or a proposal that they sign, and then roll into maintenance once the work is done.
Well, Lauren, what are the steps to start charging more, and how do they do that?
So one of the things to look at with value pricing, it's something we all hear a lot about, and some people have been able to implement it successfully, but it's something that sounds like a good idea and is hard for some firm owners to implement. So I want to say the first steps of value pricing can apply to your cleanup projects also if you want to start charging more. And this is where you're looking at what I call the good, better, best pricing model. This applies to your monthly engagements as well. So people are coming to you and you've already done the assessment. You're going to come up with that fixed fee for the cleanup project. What I want you to do is multiply it by 1.5. That is now your new good rate. And I want you to enroll 3 people at that new good rate of 1.5 higher than what you originally would have charged. This gives you awareness that people aren't quite as price sensitive as you thought they were. After you enroll those 3 people, we go to tier 2, which is your new better rate. Once again, people come to you, you'll assess their financials, come up with that original fixed fee you would have charged for the project, and now multiply it by 2x. This means you're now earning double what you would have originally charged, no additional time spent working, and you're getting better at having that enrolling conversation into the project because you're understanding where they need to be able to see the value and what questions might be coming up for them. After you enroll 3 people at your new better rate, you jump to the top tier, which is your new best rate. Once again, assess the project, come up with that original flat fee, and then go ahead and multiply it by 3 times. This now means that you're earning 3 times more than you originally would have charged, no additional time spent working. And because you're working with now a higher quality client that isn't as price sensitive, you are able to actually bring in higher revenues, which means that you might not need as many clients in order to meet your revenue needs. And as a result of that, this allows you to focus more on maybe bringing advisory services into your business, possibly doing business development, or just getting back some of your personal time for your own self-care. So at some point, that new best rate will need to be recalibrated, and you can go through the good, better, best pricing. But this is a way to start getting away from hourly rates or charging based on time and cost, and over the value pricing is by going through the good, better, best pricing model with your cleanups. Like I said, you can do this with your monthly services as well. When I first connected with Susan, she hates having enrolling conversations. They just throw her off. She gets really flustered, especially when it comes to the close. And she, as a result of that, kept low prices because then everybody said yes to her. It was an easy yes for them. But as a result of that, she needed a lot of clients in order to meet her revenue needs. She worked really, really hard and a lot of hours. It wasn't sustainable for her. Not only was she paying the price, but so was her family, because she was never available for them. So she keeps everything on spreadsheets and shared this with me. I want to bring your attention to cleanup number 1. If she would have just assessed this herself, she would have charged $1,500 for the project based on how much she thought how much her hourly rate was by how much time she thought it would take. She underestimated the time 100%. So she was always undercharging for projects. We had a quick conversation, and based on the profitable client formula, we assessed the project at $7,900 for this particular client. And she was able to follow the steps of knowing how to have the conversation with them, how to be able to present the offer, and to get paid before she engaged in the project with them. When she did this, she was shaking in her bootstraps because she doesn't like those conversations anyway, or asking for money or even discussing getting paid for her work. So she was so surprised when they said yes that she almost fell off her chair. But what I want to say is this gave her insights that clients weren't quite as price sensitive as she thought they were. So she ended up starting to increase the fees of her current clients, increasing the fees for her projects. As a result, as you can see, over 9 months, she brought an additional $56,000. And instead of working that 7 days, 70 hours a week, she was able to reduce the 3 days, 20 hours a week. So not only did she increase her revenues, but she was able to lighten her workload as well. And this is possible for you too.
Well, Lauren, that's great. We're going to be looking at the 5 tips to get started. And one of the things about Susan, I remember, is that she actually got paid up front.
Yes,
So she was actually
absolutely.
getting the money before she even had done the work, which
Mhm.
for her was really a big surprise.
That was eye-opening.
Yes. So we have our next poll question.
Oh, we're moving into 5 tips to get started.
We're moving into 5 tips to get started. Oh yeah, look at that. 5
Yeah,
tips
look at that.
to go ahead and get started. Um, so how do you charge your clients? Hourly rate, flat fee, value pricing, or a combination? Once again, how do you charge your clients? Hourly rate, flat fee, value pricing, or a combination? And like I said, Lauren, this is a great time for people to go ahead and put in a question for us.
Mhm.
And what I
Actually, I
got,
think that there is a question in
I
there.
think there is. Why don't you go ahead and
Yeah,
take that?
Cole, are you able to unmute yourself? I just want to make sure I understand the question correctly.
Yeah.
Hi, Cole.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
I'm on
So
my phone here.
can
Let
you
me
just,
look what I even put.
yeah, I just wanted to know about the question about turning down the estimate.
Yeah, I think my question was, especially when you're trying the value base, if you're multiplying, if someone says, no, I can't afford that, do you just kind of move on and, say they're probably not the right client for you, or do you have other strategies you recommend?
It depends on you and what you feel comfortable. I would not lower the price or look at, well, payment options are fine, but when you're doing payment options, you just need to realize that you're taking some of the risk because you're now financing their work with you. So I would look at actually how credit cards do payment options. If you don't want to pay your balance in full, then they are tacking on what, 18% or so onto your monthly balance until you're paid off on full. So if you're going to go ahead and do payment options, then make sure that you're actually giving them a higher fee than if they were to pay in full. And there are some people, when they just see the difference in the price, will automatically pay in full, even though they might have kind of pushed back a little bit in the beginning. The other thing is that asking for the price up front is a way to qualify whether you're working with someone that's price sensitive or not. If they're price sensitive, they usually turn out to be a headache client, and you want them to actually go ahead and move on, because those headache clients are lower profit than the quality clients who are more likely to follow through. The other part of it is, let me just think. They might not have fully seen the value of what you're offering. So maybe they still have some questions that they didn't ask yet. And in order to be able to, once you answer those questions, then they understand why you charge that fee and they're ready to move forward. So I gave you a lot of different ways of looking at this. Any questions about that call? Perfect. Thank you so much. But don't lower the price. When you lower the price, it teaches them that your prices are suggestions and negotiable, and they will always come back asking for a lower fee. Okay.
Well, let's go ahead and close out the poll. So we have
Poll.
flat fee is 36%, value pricing 18%, and a combination is 45%. And I believe Christian had a comment also, Lauren.
Yes, thank you, Christian. So one of the things that Christian was saying, if you actually do the paid diagnostic first, it actually gives you more reasons to be able to charge a higher fee, because you can explain to them the value of moving forward and why having accurate, up-to-date books is so critical for them having solid financials in their business.
And Lauren, you have a resource.
Yeah. So one of the things, just to let you know, is if this is and I do have section 3, so I'm not done yet. But if this is something that you think is interesting to you, you would like to implement it, I'm actually doing the Profitable Client Formula course. It's been 2 years since I've done this course, but it allows you to actually increase your fees and engage quality clients, tons of resources, and it is a done with you. So we work through it together, because it's not a self-study course. It's actually a live group coaching course where I'm available to answer your questions. If there's a resource that's not available, I will create it and give it to you or share it with you, because I want to make sure that you implement. So I'm definitely results focused. And by doing this, you could probably earn back the investment into the course with your very first cleanup project. So that is just something, if that interests you, then go to businesssuccesssolution.com/client-formula. And I did put that link in the chat as well.
Well, Lauren, you're suggesting that accounting professionals slow down and do a review before getting to work. What are some tips to consider as they get started?
Well, one thing to consider before we go into this is I just want to go to the page for the Profitable Client Formula, because this explains it a little better as I'm scrolling through some of the testimonials and everything, and some of the processes. These are the 3 qualities your accounting firm needs to be more profitable. You want to be able to have an onboarding system that eliminates headache clients and avoids scope creep. You also want to have systems and processes, because as you continue to implement the processes, efficiency improves. And also, you want to be able to talk about things where they see you as that advisor or consultant as opposed to a technician, because when they see you as that advisor or consultant, they're not quite as price sensitive, because they know that you're going to be able to not just help them with what's going on now, but be able to help them achieve some future goals for themselves. So that's just something to think about as far as the essence of some things that help your firm become more profitable. So getting back to the slides, let me get on the slides. So something to think about is that I know that firm owners are very dedicated to the client, highly client-centered. You want to make a difference. The work you do is meaningful. It's so much a calling as much as a profession. So this is something where you know that you're making a difference for your clients. And we want to make sure that your rates and how they perceive you reflect that difference that you are making for them. So some of the things to think about is charging for the review. And my clients charge anywhere from $500 to $1,500, sometimes more, for a diagnostic review. So this isn't the quick review that's done during the free consult. You're taking that free consult, which is about 15, maybe 30 minutes, and enrolling them into a paid diagnostic review where you can assess it on your own. It's similar to that auto mechanic, getting the head under the hood and clamping on some things to really give that thorough assessment of what's going on. So Christian, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Sure.
And can you explain your experience of going from doing the review for free during the consult over to now a paid diagnostic review?
Yes, I used to figure that I would meet with a client and either, point out some things during my conversation with them as we were looking at their books, or I would say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and review, and then I'll quote you on what we're going to do the cleanup, which is free. Like, that was just, it was time that I was giving away to a client. And my 35 plus years in accounting is worth something. So I will give a client 15 minutes for my initial review. We don't look at their books. I don't log in. I don't anything. It's a conversation about where they are. At that point, they give me access to their books, and I quote them to do a paid diagnostic. So normally, I'll go in and they pay up front for the diagnostic. So it used to be free, and now I don't get any less than $750 for a pretty simple diagnostic. My diagnostics are normally anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 now, and there's a client, and it really does set you apart as an expert. You're telling them the process that you're going through. You're telling them that you're going to look and diagnose their problems. You have to resist making any changes when you're in there.
Oh, you're getting ahead of me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but that's what my process is
Yeah.
now. This is what you've taught us so well, Lauren, is that, so we're going to go ahead and do the diagnostic. I do not write a report for them. I will have a conversation with them after the diagnostic, and I'll probably show them their balance sheet and their P&L, and I'll go through a list of points that I've made for myself. Like I said, I don't provide anything in writing to them, but I do go over those critical elements, whether it's, chart of accounts, things that are wrong with AP, AR. I kind of go through the balance sheet and the P&L with what the issues are. And at that point, I've now protected myself. I've now gone through their books in great detail, understanding exactly what the issues are so that I know what it is that I'm quoting in terms of a cleanup. I used to eat time on cleanups all the time. And now, like, for example, a cleanup that I just recently did, I would have charged probably no more than $1,500, and I probably would have felt very bad about charging the $1,500. I just charged $10,000 for that cleanup, and the client, all he said was, well, I guess it needs to be done. And what I did for him, because he's price sensitive, but he still knew that he needed it for his taxes. But because of my conversation with him, I knew why he needed it. I knew what his motivation was. I did offer him $5,000 to get started. And this is after he paid me $1,500 for the diagnostic. And then I let him do 2 weeks later and 2 weeks later for the full, to pay the rest of the $10,000, which he did on time as he should have. But it really does, like, just having the paid diagnostic up front set me apart as an expert. I knew exactly what I was telling him, the process that I was going through. And now I've set him up to become a monthly client because now he knows what the process is. And we're going to be working together moving forward because he sees the value in having an expert in his books versus what he's experienced in the past.
Christian, I so appreciate you sharing your process of how you've been able to implement this into your firm. So just a reiteration is that You now charge a baseline of $750 for a diagnostic. The top is about $1,500. I think you have charged more than $1,500 a couple of times as well, depending on complexity.
It depends on complexity.
Yes, definitely. And also, this has now created a new stream of revenue for something you used to give away for free.
Yes.
And the clients that are investing in the diagnostic are not as price sensitive because, once again, you're focusing on the relationship, you're leading with your expertise instead of the technical side. So it's something you learned how to do over time.
Mm-hmm.
And you get better at it.
It's less of a commodity, right?
Mhm.
You're now saying, the partnership that you're forming to give them a good set of books that they can use to run their business.
Mhm.
And they are now more invested in giving you what you need to work with them. So, giving you all the information you need for the cleanup, having everything right at your fingertips because they're understanding your sense of urgency. They're understanding the way that you operate.
Mhm.
They're understanding that they're paying nicely for what you're doing for them, but you've already set those boundaries in place. And so I find it easier to control a client like that.
Christian, I appreciate that. I know that you have inspired some other people right now. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, you can charge for the diagnostic. Like I said, my suggestion is start out with $500 or $1,500 as your baseline. And then, as Christian was mentioning also, when you're in there doing the diagnostic, it's just a review. You're just looking under the hood. You do not have any permission to touch anything yet. That includes just that quick checkbox, which would make a difference. Resist that urge to be able to fix things because you haven't been given permission to do that yet. The next part of this is that you are getting paid before you start to do the diagnostic. This teaches your clients that you get paid first before you do the work. So now when you do the cleanup project, you can talk about prepayment as well. When you go into monthlies, you don't have to actually invoice any longer because they already realize that they pay up front and then you do the work. So this means that there's no negotiation, there's no write-offs, and it also improves your cash flow and it's more efficient than tracking time, invoicing, and then following up with payment. You save so much time when you stop doing that. Now, developing a pricing formula is the more that you have a formula, then the less likely you're going to have your emotions hijack what you charge someone because you looked at their books and you felt sorry for them. So we want you to have a formula in place, and doing the paid diagnostic allows you to do that thorough assessment. And then you can go ahead and come up with that original fixed fee and go through the good, better, best pricing model to start to increase the fees that you would charge for your projects. And the other thing is that a lot of business owners might have worked with somebody before, or maybe this is the first time they're no longer able to do it themselves and they need to work with someone. This is a great way to test drive working together to see if you're a right fit for them and that they are a right culture fit for you and your firm as well, to avoid ending up with those headache clients. So it's a isolated engagement, the paid diagnostic, and it's a way to be able to test drive if this is a client that you want to continue working with or not. If it's a client that you want to continue working with, you then are able to talk to them about moving forward into the cleanup project. If it's not, you can give them all the insights from the assessment, and then they can go ahead and either do it themselves, they can get someone else to do it, or maybe have someone in-house do it for them. You are not obligated to do the project if it is someone that is not a right fit for you and your firm. And this protects you from later on having one of those headache clients that you regretted ever onboarding. This takes care of you and protects you and your mental health. It reduces frustration. So test driving working together is great, especially if you're one of those client-centered firms and you don't like saying no to people. This is an isolated engagement. And like I said, it's a great way for the two of you to decide if it's a good fit moving forward or not. When I first connected with Lillian, she was doing cleanup projects. She had a specialty. She actually worked with dentists as well as attorneys. And she was basically charging, based on her hourly rate for the cleanup projects. I think she had a rule that at that point, she never charged more than $1,500 for a cleanup project, no matter how complicated it was, because she just saw it as a commodity and something that people had to have in place. So when we started talking about this and she was following the profitable client formula, she was able to become aware of the value of having accurate, up-to-date financials, and that they were the foundational piece to having a solid, strong financials in their business. It was like the foundation to a house that is in a hurricane zone. So you need a really solid foundation as well as the structure to be able to withstand a hurricane. And she was able to explain to them why it was so important for her to do the project in order for them to be able to have accurate insights and the best tax advantage possible moving forward. Because she was able to explain to them the value of the work and how they were able to benefit from this and the implications, she got to a point where she no longer charged less than $10,000 for a cleanup project, even if it was less than a year's worth of monthlies that needed to be up to date and accurate. So once again, that was what Lillian was able to do, is she just changed her perception of how she saw it and able to explain it to the client. And as a result, she got to the point where she was able to charge a minimum of $10,000 for a cleanup project. And once she finished the project, she then enrolled them into monthly packages. And these are the three options that she offered, was basic, pro, and premium, because she realized that even though her clients might all be in a similar vertical, based on their business evolution, they need different things. So the smaller business owners needed things that were primarily about tax compliance, to be able to file at the end of the year. The pro was where the majority of her clients are, and they wanted additional insights in order to be more profitable, reduce their AR, and not have so many write-offs. And then the premium clients were for her business owners that had multiple locations, and maybe they had real estate investment also, and they were looking at more outsourced CFO level services because they had more financial complexity and wanted access to her as they were making decisions with their business. So this is something that you can absolutely implement, and it would start to position you as more of that expert and away from the commodity or technical side of what you do, because the packages are outcome focused. They are built to drive certain benefits depending on what package someone opts into.
Lauren, what we covered today was the 5 costly pricing mistakes, your personal ATM machine, and 5 tips to go ahead. Excuse me. Go ahead and get started. And Lauren, you really shared a lot. We covered how to avoid cleanup challenges, profit from the projects, and engage clients. If someone is ready to do this, what do you have available for them?
Well, something to think about is if you're looking to fill your firms with quality clients, because you have had some that just give you headaches, and even you getting an email from them just raises your blood pressure and throws off your whole day, then we want to be very strategic in how you engage clients into your firm to avoid those nightmare clients. So some of the things you want to think about is, where is it that you would like to take your firm, and how can we help you close that gap so that you know that you're moving forward in that direction very strategically instead of organically. As a result of actually doing the paid diagnostic, this now creates a new stream of revenue. It can bring in as much as an additional 5 figures into your firm for something that you were previously giving away for free. This increases the value of the client because the clients are now perceiving you as an expert, and you know that if they paid for the diagnostic, they're not as price sensitive as the ones that chose not to, because they see you as someone who can offer solutions, and that is going to help them with their own business development. This is a way to have processes in place in order to strategically do less, become more efficient, but also increase the lifetime value of a client so you're earning more. You are able to have a firm that supports your lifestyle instead of one that drains the life out of you. So if you feel that you've made sacrifices along the way, you've given up some of your personal things to be able to take care of your clients and be operational, we want to correct that and give you back some of your time in order to be able to have quality of life as well as a business. And the last thing is that this is a lot about mindset. So this is where you start to look at things a little bit differently from, instead of having that employee mindset where it's all about the work and the task, we want you to have a CEO mindset, which is building something that maybe lasts beyond you and can be scalable even down the road. So it's scalable, and also it increases the value for maybe later on when you want your exit strategy and you want to sell your firm. So if that interests you, then you might want to check out, as I mentioned before, the Profitable Client Formula. It's a way to be able to transform your firm from stressful to successful. It's a live group coaching program that is done with you. We're giving you all the resources, the tools, the systems you need in order to be able to engage quality clients, increase your profit margins, and reduce your workload and your stress. Some of the things I included as bonuses is being able to prevent scope creep and how to be able to look at that, being able to confidently handle objections, looking at how the script you might want to be able to engage quality clients from the very beginning all the way through into a monthly service, protecting yourself from headache clients, and a cleanup engagement letter. The other thing is for anybody that enrolls between now and the next 24 hours, I'm going to also include a private bonus coaching session with me, just you and me, one-on-one, and I will answer all your questions because I want to make sure that you implement. So once again, you get all the bonuses if you enroll within the next 24 hours. I will also include a private coaching session with me to make sure that you get all your questions answered. And the other thing is that's included is resources, templates. It is going to have the 5 modules of the Profitable Client Formula. There's going to be weekly implementation sessions and all the recordings from the group coaching sessions. By the way, this isn't like you have it for a while and then I kick you out of the program. You have this for life. As long as the program is available, you have access to it forever. I do not take it away from you once you've enrolled in the program. It is something that you have lifetime access to, because I know that as you grow your firm, you might be ready to implement a different piece of it, or you might want to review something again to fine tune it to where you are right now, as opposed to when you first enrolled in the program. And the bottom line is you deserve to have a firm that supports your life instead of one that takes the life out of you, and you don't need to tolerate those low rates or those headache clients. So if this is something that interests you and you want to get all the details, or you're ready to hop in because you want to get one of those bonus coaching sessions, then go to businesssuccesssolution.com/client-formula. The program actually starts on September 9th. It has limited spots because I like to work closely with everybody. And as a result of that, I know even with maybe one client, you're going to make your investment back from this. So once again, let's go ahead and get going, check it out. And the first 4 who join within the next 24 hours will get that bonus coaching session with me. And you can go once again to check out all the details at businesssuccesssolution.com/client-formula to be able to check it out. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I'm happy to have a conversation. And the program does start September 9th, where we are going to put everything in place in order to be able to raise your rates, be able to engage premium clients, and have a firm that supports your lifestyle instead of one that drains the life out of you. So thank you so much. I appreciate you taking time away from working in your business, joining me today to work on your business, getting those insights, those tips. And if you have any other questions, feel free to let me know. I hope that you are inspired to enroll and join me in the Profitable Client Formula. Take care. Bye.